Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Amy, or my Muslim name is Khadija. I recently reverted to Islam and I had my official Shahada ceremony today in the mosque. But why did I revert to Islam? So my whole life pretty much, I was questioning who I was, trying to find myself, trying to find my place in the world, answer questions I had about this world. And when I was going through a really bad, tough spot with my mental health when I was a teenager, I found Catholicism. I was growing up in Spain, Christianity was all around me, and so I found the Catholic Church and I started practicing, became a practicing Catholic. Then as I moved back to the UK, came to a different Catholic church here, I had questions that the Bible couldn't really answer for me. And I started asking these in the church, and the answers that I got weren't answering my question, if that makes sense. And things that I would like bring up saying, oh, you know, I regret this sin, or I regret doing this, they sort of viewed that as not a sin, and they took something else that I'd done that I didn't particularly view as super bad, and they said it was like the worst thing to have ever done. And it sort of just gave me more questions than answers. And for a long time, you know, up until I went on holiday, I had these questions. I didn't really know who I was, you know, trying from hobbies to losing weight, just as a person. I didn't get the world. I didn't understand it. I didn't find my place in it. I didn't feel like I ever really belonged anywhere, because the questions that I had weren't being answered. And it makes sense because I didn't have any Muslims around me. I come from not even a religious family, you know, most of them are atheist, and I never really grew up around any Muslims either. And then when I went on holiday, we visited a mosque in Turkey. We visited the Sultan's Mosque, and I walked in and I felt so much peace. Like, I knew a little bit about Islam, but I have to admit it was the religion that I knew least about. And I can't explain the feeling of peace that I had when I walked into this mosque. And so I looked to the side and there was like an information desk thing, and I went, oh, do you have the Quran in English? You know, a security guard came over and tried to help me find a copy. It was the last copy of the Quran in English that I had, and I took it and I thought, let's start reading it. What is Islam? You know, at this point I didn't think about reverting or anything like that. I was just like, what is Islam? What is it all about? And so I read the Quran. And as I read the Quran, it felt like this veil that was in front of my eyes was lifted. And like, it felt like I could see the world around me for the first time. The Quran was giving me these answers that I had. And it was like I could see this whole picture of Islam that had been painted to me from the media, or from what I kind of thought that wasn't what it was. And that's when I first started thinking, this is what I believe. Like, I'm reading this and this is what I believe. The questions that I had from the church, they can answer. This is not answering them for me. And I feel like I've come home. And at this point, I'm probably a third of the way through the Quran, and I am researching any question that I have. I'm looking on TikTok, I'm looking to Google. I'm talking to my husband about it because he isn't Muslim, but he grew up around a lot of Muslims, so he knows a lot. So I was asking him and I was finding out all this information. Fast forward to a week later and we come back to the UK, and I'm like nearly halfway through the Quran at this point. And that's when I started thinking, like, I'm going outside and I don't have my hair covered, and that doesn't feel right to me. I'm eating food that's not halal. That doesn't feel right to me. And that's when doing all of these things that are against Islam, that, you know, we're not supposed to do in Islam, they didn't feel right to me to do anymore. And then that's when I reached out to a friend. She is the only Muslim friend that I've got that I haven't met through work. And I said to her, like, hey, before I take my Shahada, I really just want to ask someone a question, you know, could I become a Muslim without having read the full Quran? Because I believed in what the Quran is saying, you know, that is my truth, that is the truth for me. I felt like all these questions I had about myself, about the world around me, why things were happening, why bad things happen to good people, why good things happen to bad people, all of these answers were given to me. And all of these questions that I had, like, how is Jesus God's son if God is God? You know, yeah, and I explained them, and he was like, yes, you can become Muslim, you can take your Shahada without having read the Quran, you know, not every revert reads the Quran in full or even reads it at all. And he was like, he asked me some questions about what I believe, and I told him, I was like, I believe that God is God. There is no one comparable to God. He is alone. He sent Jesus and the prophets as messengers. Jesus isn't his son. And I basically said all of this to him. He was like, you've literally just taken your shahada. You've just accepted Islam into your life. So then on the phone, we did it officially, where you read something, where you copy something, and you basically say like, Allah is the only one, and it's like a sentence or two that you have to say, and you say it in Arabic and then you say it in English, and it's basically a declaration of accepting Islam into your life. And that's how I became Muslim. And then fast forward to this week, and now 2 weeks later, and I had an official shahada ceremony, which is where a couple of the ummah, so the Muslim community, gathered in the mosque. They watched me take my shahada, and it was just amazing. So if you want to become a Muslim, or you're thinking about it, I definitely recommend doing your research, looking into Islam, seeing what you think, making up your own mind. And then if you do want to go forward with it, ask sisters for advice if you've got any questions, and then contact your local mosque, speak to your imam. May Allah guide you, inshallah.